You're going.
Hello, I'm John Block with the Stigler News Sentinel, and I'm here today with Kellen Davis, Stigler football standout in 2001. Um, Kellen Davis was recently the last football player to go Division I until Nate Bryant went to New Mexico State. What does it mean for you, for Nate, to go to Division I and break the curse of nobody going Division I?
I think it's pretty special, man. I mean, what it means to me is it shows that just because you're from a small town and you don't have a lot of recognition on TV or in a lot of cases, your record in your division gets you recognition, and sometimes small towns don't have that. Now Stigler the last couple of years have been doing really well, but what it means to me is it shows that just because you're from a small town doesn't mean you can't go do special things. If you've got your heart in it and you want to do it, you can do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And now, when you were playing, you guys there was like a 10 or 15 year playoff drought, and there wasn't a pressure of being any good or anything. But how did you guys play with? Did that help you guys with not having any pressure or anything?
Pressure playoffs of making
Yeah,
playoffs.
you just wanted to play to
Yeah,
play
man,
football.
I mean, it was to a point where, I mean, every summer, yes, that was kind of our, we would talk about, whatever it takes to get the playoffs, or, but kind of in the back of our mind, we knew our competition and we knew what we had, but at the end of the day, it was about having fun. It was about playing the game with your friends and doing the best you can, and that's what we did. So
yeah, it's a whole lot easier when you don't have that built up pressure.
well, there was nothing really holding. Yeah, I mean, some schools, you want to talk about Jinx or Union or Broken Arrow or Lincoln Christian. They've got a title that they've got to, I guess, continue on, or they've got a status they've got to keep. And we, like you said, we had a drought there, so that was non-existent. We didn't have to prove to anyone we were something that we weren't, or you know what I'm saying. So we just got to go play and have fun, and so that was a fun part of it for sure.
Yes, sir. And then talk about your recruiting process. I know that you signed with OSU, but you had other people interested in stuff.
Yeah, I did. I had several. I don't remember the number, but it was several places that I could have went to. My mom and dad, they kept all these letters, offer letters and stuff in a shoebox, and I didn't really know about them until my senior year, and she put them out there on the table and said, "Hey, here's kind of what's progressing," and I was taken back. I didn't know. And she said, "We didn't." It was about half. The best of my recollection, it was about halfway through the senior year when she gave them to me, and she said, "We didn't want to give them to you early because we didn't want you to change. We didn't want you to change how you were playing to try to be better or do something different. Just be yourself." And so I respected that and appreciated that. But yeah, I could have went to a lot of different places. I visited OU, had an official visit there. Went to Arkansas, TCU. Those were kind of Kansas, I believe. I went there, but you only had 4, I believe, official visits, 4 or 5 that you could do. I think 5. And but yeah, as far as offers, I could have went a lot of places, but I wanted to stay close. I mean, I wanted to be around people that were of my like kind, and that's why I chose Oklahoma State. Was not that any of the other schools were bad. I just didn't fit. When I went to OSU, it was like a key in the lock, man. I mean, I fit. And when I got there, I knew that was a place.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, while you were at Stigler, did you get any like postseason honors or anything?
Postseason honors. I think it was all state. Is that what you're talking about?
Something like that, like lineman of the year.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
may have. I know I was all state. Tied in my senior year. I don't really remember all the other.
Oh yeah,
if there was.
And then what other sports and activities did you do in high school?
Man, I played basketball in high school, and I did track. I did the shot put and discus. I just like those things, man. It kept me busy, kept me active. I wasn't necessarily good at them, but I enjoyed them, so I played them. And basketball kind of helped me in the football standpoint, as kept my footwork going good. You had to have good, footwork skills and balance and stuff, and basketball kept that going in the off season for me and kept me in shape. Hand-eye coordination. So that sport helped the other, So I did that for that reason.
Yes, sir. And now the NCAA invented the NIL rules this year and the transfer portal. How has that changed the game from when you played?
Oh man, there's so many things that's changed since I played. It would be easy for me to say that the game these days is a totally different game. All the way from the new rules put in place to the transfers to it would have changed the game a lot back then, just like it did now. People having the ability to just move and I don't really like that rule.
Yes, sir. It changes everything.
Well, I mean, just because you don't like something, or you don't like a school, or just because you're not playing, you're not a starter. Well, I'm just gonna pick up and leave and go somewhere else. I mean,
you aren't really committed to them. Yeah.
I mean, once you work harder and gain your position,
Yes,
so I don't know. That's just kind of my.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new rules and changes that I don't like, but I'm kind of old school. So.
And then while you were at OSU, you were coached. The head coaches were two legendary head coaches, Les Miles and Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
Did they teach you anything while you were there, or help you out any?
Man, college itself taught me a whole lot. Leaving Stigler, I mean, we're kind of in our own world here, and that's a good thing in a lot of instances. But I wasn't really exposed to life. Small town guy, I didn't know what it was like in the real world per se. But college grew me up. It matured me as a person, and it changed who I am. The coaches, they're both great people. Les Miles he's an unbelievable guy. I loved him as a coach. There were some people that didn't like him, including the media, because he didn't paint a picture that wasn't true. He just told you how it was, and I really liked that in a man. To draw the line, he drew the line. You knew where the line was. He didn't try to be your friend. He was your coach, and you knew that, and you had respect for him for that reason. Gundy, he coached differently. Gundy's a great guy. He's a coach that wants to be your friend, and I can respect that. They had two different coaching styles, but yes, I learned a lot about the game and life from both of those coaches, for sure.
And then OSU was also in a bowl drought before you got there, but then they got some Tatum Bell and Rashawn Woods and stuff, and you played with them. Did you feel the culture change in OSU then when you were playing with them and going to bowl games and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, when Miles got there, he brought a whole new kind of life, I guess, to the university. You could sense it. There were more fans that were interested in coming to the games. There was more. It was directionally changed, I would say. Boone Pickens come in, donated a lot of money to the program, to the school. That changed our program a lot. It gave us more outside recognition and attractiveness, I guess, for recruits, and so that changed the program as well. But yeah, as far as could you see a difference? Yes, I mean you could see a huge change in the direction of the program from a lot of different angles. And a lot of those were, like you said, Rashawn Woods. He's still a good friend of mine. I talk to him once a week. And Peyton Bell. I mean, I could just go down the list of the athletes that were there that changed the program.
And now you played tight end in high school, right?
I was on the line. I blocked pretty much my whole life. And as a senior, they wanted to move me to tight end so I could block the edge and go out for a pass. I really didn't have the best hands. I still had lineman hands, as they say, as a tight end, but I think I caught one pass. I wasn't breaking any records, but they pretty much put me there for a blocking tight end, just to have extra protection and blocking that edge. So, I wasn't a tight end material, but more of a blocker.
And then you moved to the O line at OSU. What did you have a certain position, or did you go all over the line?
Or? Well, they recruited me for tight end, and I think it was just I come out of high school as a tight end. My last year, so I guess they recruited me as a tight end. So I remember like it was yesterday, the first few days of practice when I showed up, I go down to the tight end group. Like, all right, I couldn't catch a ball to save my life, and I was still fast, quick, but the speed that they were throwing that ball, the quarterbacks, it was on a whole nother level, man. I mean, you could hardly see it, and so. After day 2 or 3 of practice at a tight end, the tight end coach said, go ahead and go down there with the lineman. And so that's where I spent the rest of my career. I was a little bit light weight-wise at 265 coming in, but they put the weight on me and I progressed into a lineman. As far as positions, the way our O-line worked was we had to know every position. The center, he was kind of the ringleader, and not very many people could take his spot. But as far as guards on each side and tackles on each side, your job was essentially the same. It was just a different direction. So, yes, I played guard a lot, played tackle a lot, didn't play center ever. But yeah, I mean, if the right guard went out and, for injury or whatever, and we had a guy on the sidelines, or if I was on the sidelines, you bet you get thrown in there. You better know your job.
Yes, sir.
And so, and that worked really well. I mean, it wasn't just like, well, I play right tackle and I don't know how to play any other position. You had to know the other guy's spots, which helped as to group the team together because you knew what the guy next to you was doing. Before the play even kicked off, you're like, well, I know I'm going to this cat because he's got him. So you kind of knew where everybody was going, so it gave you comfort, and you kind of worked together as a team without even saying anything. So that helped a lot.
And then you signed with the Arizona Cardinals right when the draft happened. You signed a creative deal. What happened there, and did training camps and stuff like that?
Man, I went and trained in Columbus, Ohio, Westside Barbell. I needed to get a little stronger, and they're the strongest gym in the United States, and probably the world. But they really put a lot of strength in me, which is what I needed. And I was free agent. My agent contacted them, and I got in with them. I spent some time up there training, a couple months, and yeah, I got a call from Arizona, and they said, "Hey, we want you to come out and try out." So I was in the middle of a scrapyard. Matter of fact, in Glencoe, Oklahoma. I was buying transmissions off of the salvage yard and loading these transmissions in a trailer. It was in July. It was so hot, and my phone kept ringing, and I'm like, "What is going on?" You know, I'm trying to work here, and what I was doing is I was buying these transmissions and then driving them to Tulsa and selling them for scrap metal, and that's how I was making my living. And this, hello, and this is Denny Green. This is the head coach for the Cardinals, and I'm like, "Yeah, right." And I hung up. He calls me back, and he's like, "This is Denny Green with Arizona Cardinals," and I'm like, "Listen, man, I don't know who this is, but like, I ain't got time for this. I'm trying to make a living here." And he's like, "This is no joke," and he went on to say, "Don't hang up again. This is real, and we've got a plane ticket for you going out of Tulsa in an hour." And I said, "Well, there's no way I can get there in an hour. I'm 30 minutes from the house and an hour and 10 from Tulsa International." So he calls me back in a little bit, and he said, 2 hours. We've got one in 2 hours, but that's it. If you can't make it, that's your last offer. So, and I went right then, went to Walmart, bought some underwear and socks, and run back to the house and got my cleats, and I mean, here we go. I called my wife and said, "Hey, I'm gone." She was at work, and so got on the plane, went to Arizona, and it was a whole nother experience, man. It was it was a whole nother world that I wasn't even aware of. Got on a limo at the airport with some guys that had come from different teams, Miami Dolphins and all over, that were coming to try for this one spot. And here I am dressed in blue jeans and dirty cowboy boots, and I got motor oil and transmission fluid on me, and I'm dirty, and they're looking at me like, "What is this guy doing?" I mean, they're in silk suits and gold and real deal, you know. And so I was kind of the laughing stock of it all. Went to Flagstaff, Arizona. I believe it's Northern Arizona University is there. But that's where we had our training camp. The elevation was crazy. I think it was like 11 or 12,000 feet up there. Well, I just left 580 feet elevation. So the adjustment was acute, would be an understatement. Just walking from the limo to the dorms I was out of breath. I was out of air and sweating, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so out of shape. What am I gonna? I'm gonna embarrass myself." I didn't realize. Well, it didn't ever clicked that the elevation changed, the air's thinner and all that. But went out there, and they had us line up and do drills and different things, and they're like, "All right, guys, well, we appreciate y'all coming out, and we're gonna pass on all you guys, and we'll get you fed and get you back on a plane. You'll be home tonight." I'm like, "That's it?" Okay. Well, I shook all the coaches' hands and told them thank you for the opportunity, and other guys were kind of walking off the field grumbling, you know. And I was always taught from high school to all the way, especially through college, run off the field. I mean, you never jog off the field. Well, I didn't even think about it. It was just second nature, so I just took off jogging off the field, got to the sidelines, and took my gear off and started walking back to the dorm, and heard the whistle blow. We all kind of turned around, and coach said, "Everybody come back." So I jogged back over there and not even thinking, the other guys just walking, waiting on them to get over there, and the coach is like, hey man, we've changed our mind. We see that one guy is he's underweight, he's under strength, but he has a lot of improvements to do, but he's got a heart, and his heart is what got him here, and we can see that. And Mr. Davis, would you like to join our team? And dude, I freaked out. I'm like, what? Why me? But they went on to tell me, they could see the passion, the effort, no matter the struggle. I mean, I was trying to breathe air through a paper sack up there pretty much, and doing drills, and I never quit, never gave up, and so that meant a lot. When people, you always hear, try your best and never give up and work harder than everybody else, and sometimes you don't ever see the product of that. You never see you never truly see the result of doing more. And that day, I did. They told me. It just all kind of come together. I'm like, wow. Because I wasn't running off the field for anybody. I was just doing it out of habit. Because that's what I've always just hustled. Everywhere you go, hustle. And that day, it paid off. And it was the difference. And so that's what I tell people, kids, if high school kids, whatever, they ask me, what can you do? What would you tell us? Or what would you tell these kids if you could tell them one thing? And I'm like, whatever you want to do it. But give it everything you got. And keep going. Try as hard as you can try harder than everybody else, and it will make a difference. But so I got there, went through a few days. It was really weird. Went through that deal, like, all right, we got breakfast in the morning, then practice, and then weights, and then practice and meetings. Okay, so we've got an itinerary. Go sit down and eat breakfast. Well, I'm sitting by myself over here, and Kurt Warner, out of nowhere, just comes and sits beside me, starts eating breakfast, and I'm like I wanted to ask everybody, do y'all know who this is? It's Kurt Warner. I mean, a legend in the game. And he's eating breakfast here, and he's like, hey man, what's up? You new here? I'm like, yes sir. He's like, good to have you. What position? Line. All right, my kind of guy, be protecting me, and he was just talking to me like he was a regular old guy. Very good guy. So that was a shock. So I got a few plays in the Steelers game preseason. I went in on field goal, but I got a few plays. Running out, that was the first game in that new stadium there in Glendale. They had just built that brand new stadium, and that was the very first game. So the stands were packed. It was really emotional for everybody. But got some plays there, and then season was about to start. Well, there was a guy that I was going to take his spot, and he was on injury reserve, and they didn't want to have me in him for a number of reasons. So they allocated me to go on to Germany, to NFL Europe. Well, that ended up being the last year of NFL Europe. They kind of trashed that program, but it was kind of a farm league, like baseball. But I was on Cologne, Germany's team. Went to Tampa, Florida, training camp. I think I had like 3 or 4 weeks off between Arizona and training camp, and then went down there. Spent 6 weeks down there. Training camp, I was second string there, right tackle. 3 days before the plane left to go to Germany to start the season, we were in a walk-through practice, and just a freak thing happened, and I blew out my left knee. So that was kind of the end of my career. I got down in the dumps about it, and I worked my whole life to get here, and and then now this, and so I had to go to Birmingham, Alabama, to the National Rehab Center, or whatever. It's where all the professional athletes go. I mean, there was WWE wrestlers there, and professional golf guys, and NBA players, and it was a big surgical center. I did 12 weeks of rehab there, and then come home. Got a call a few days after I got into Birmingham, and from the coach, and he said, "Man, we're gonna have to let you go. It's in your contract, that if you have a major surgery, we're not liable. We don't have to keep you." And he's like, "Man, he's like, you're welcome to come back next year and try out. We'd love to have you, but we're not gonna keep you on." So, and I ended up just sitting, nah.
You made it there.
I'm not gonna. Well, I was bummed about it. I was very, very deflated, and had a kind of a sour taste in my mouth about it. And so I was like, you know what? I've played this game more than half as long as I've been alive. I gave it everything I got. It's time to move on with life, and so I chose life, and went back to Stillwater in the trailer house and lived there, and then moved to Tulsa, and kind of life went on after that. Got on the Tulsa Fire Department a few years later. But anyway, yeah, that's how the professional experience was.
Yeah, there. And now, did you meet your wife in high school, college?
No, I met her in college. Yeah, it was a weird story, but I met her in college, so we met about the second week of college, just randomly passing, "Hi, how are you?" And I thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world, and she was super nice, and ended up, we went on a date or whatever a little while later, and she was showing me some pictures in her little photo album. It was back when we had photo albums, and she was showing me a picture of Allstate, and I'm like, I was in that Allstate game. She was like, "Well, I was Allstate volleyball." Ended up, we actually remembered meeting each other and saying hi to each other at a volleyball match, which is kind of odd. But yep, met her in college. We dated all the way through, off and on. How early relationships go, but met her there. Two different cats. I was a country cat, and she was a city cat. She's went to school in Cassia Hall in Tulsa, so kind of two different types of people. But we got along.
Sure. How long have you been married now?
We got married, and you're gonna put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
We got married in 2006. April 2006.
And then you have kids now?
We do. I've got a 10-year-old boy, Hudson, and a 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl, Harlow. Should be 7. Man, getting old. I can't remember my kid's age. She's born at 14. So, yeah, she's 7. Anyway, yep, 10 and a 7, and they're both go to school here, and little fireballs is what they are, but they keep me in line, I guess.
Yes, sir. And now you do stuff in the community with the Little League stuff. What all do you do with the Little League? Football, baseball, basketball?
Well, I just primarily do football. I started, I guess, 3 years ago now with, whenever my boy showed interest in wanting to play ball, I said, well, I don't really have the time, but I'll find it. And so I started coaching his team. A bunch of his boys, and it's like herding cats, man. I mean, it was rough. Especially, trying to get 11 kids to all work together to accomplish the same goal is really, really difficult. But we got it done. it was a learning experience for me. It taught me patience and showed me sometimes the amount of patience that I don't have. But man, it's super rewarding to me to see these kids struggle with stuff they don't even know about. You know, they don't know how to do something, and so they fail and they fail and they fail, and then you teach them. Sometimes you got to make them learn. I mean, you've got to correct their old habits of not listening to you or not paying attention when they need to, and then to see, then they get frustrated with you and frustrated with themselves, and I want to quit. I'm not letting you quit. I mean, life's tough. So you just go and learn that it's just easy to quit because life gets tough. Well, when you get in the real world, you can't just quit. So let's start right now by teaching you to suck it up, and to see them do that, to fight through their own little struggles and battles and be successful. When they look at me and they smile, man, I mean, that's where it's at. That's why I do it. That's my reward for all the time that I and effort that I and the other coaches that help put in. It's very, very rewarding to see the smiles on their faces and of success after time and time again failure. To see them accomplish a goal that they wanted, that they didn't think they could do, and kind of help them move along. Well, here's how you can do that, and to see them follow through with what they want. It's pretty cool, man. So, but no, at basketball, no, I don't. I'm not. Never was any good at basketball, but I don't have time to do very much, but I'll make time for football. It's a passion that I have, and like I said, it's something that's very rewarding to me.
And you said you worked with the Tulsa Fire Department. Do you have any crazy stories with that fire?
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stories. Yeah, it's a good job. I've been there. May will be 11 years. I never ever saw myself as a fireman, but I got lucky with the job. Matter of fact, I'll show my ignorance. I didn't even know there was a paid department until, I don't know, a few years before I got on. Coming from Stigler, my dad was a volunteer here. I just thought every fire department was a volunteer. I didn't know you could get paid to do that, you know. But anyway, yeah, man, the job is full of ups and downs. You never know what's next. You can never predict what is going to be happening. You know, what's going to be happening tomorrow. I go back on duty in the morning. I don't know if I get there at 7 a.m. there's going to be a car wreck with a rollover, and I've got to try to save a kid, or someone's burning, or, you know, a house on fire, or a commercial structure on fire, or drowning, or shooting, or cardiac arrest. I mean, we're running on medicals, so everything from a broken fingernail to suicides, and you see it all. There's a lot of stuff that you see that you don't want to. But the job is very rewarding. Again, because most of the time, people call you when they really need you. They call you when they can't fix it themselves. When they're in dire need of some help. And you show up, you're like, hey, I can help you. And you go and help them, and you change their day. Sometimes you change their life. Sometimes you can't. And that's bothered me sometimes, because I'm a fixer.
Mm.
If something's broke, I'm fixing it. That's just the way I'm wired. But when I can't fix it, it really, really bothers me. No matter how hard I try or how much I want to, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just can't fix the problem. So you go and you do the best you can. And you go home at night, back to the station, knowing that you did the best you can. And that's how you can sleep. That's how, I did all I could do. There was nothing better I could do. Nothing more I could do to make the situation better.
Yeah, have you been at the same station your whole career?
No. When I first come out of academy in 2011, I went to Station 7. That was my first spot, which is at 15th and College over by TU campus.
Mm-hmm.
And really cool station, bunch of cool guys there. I was there 5 years, and then I moved to Station 31, which is the northeast, the most northeast station, and it's beside the airport. It's off of like 3100 North Mingo.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're in between the airport and 169, so it's different up there than obviously closer to downtown, but I enjoy it up there. It's a good spot.
Yes, sir. And now I was talking to Matt Mayo when I was we had a disc with all the photos from way back when, and I had him download the photos and stuff to get the photo of your signing day. And he said that you guys went bear hunting one time or something like that.
Yeah.
What like hunting stuff, fishing stuff do you do now?
Oh man, that used to be my life, man. That's what I've always wanted to do. When people ask you, did you always want to play football for a living? No. Did you always want to be a fireman? No. I've always wanted to fish for a living, always. That's been my dream, to fish and hunt. And if I can make money at it, then great. But as far as what I do, right now I like to crappie fish a lot. I used to bass fish tournaments a lot, but with kids and with this ranch, I got these cattle out here now that take a lot of my time, and so priorities. You have to make priorities, man. And so what I used to do, I used to hunt everything from squirrels and ducks and deer and bear. That was an experience, pretty cool. Shoot a bear in Oklahoma. But now I've got other priorities that I've got to lessen my hobbies in order to make room for all these other things that take a lot of time.
And now, do you have a lot of like your catches mounted on your walls or anything?
Matter of fact, I don't have any fish that I personally caught on the wall. I should have. A lot of times I've caught a fish and I'm like, man, I want to put this on the wall, and for whatever reason I always turn it back. I guess because I have that option. But what I have on my wall is deer. I've got that bear rug I made, and it's in my little boy's room. But deer on the wall, that's pretty much what I have. Can't turn them back.
Yes, sir.
So.
What's the nicest fish or deer or something that you ever caught?
Man, that's a broad question. Bass. I can go down and
And it's one memorable catch.
Man, that one's even broad. All right, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to break it down. So, crappie. The most memorable catch was Lake Sky took up Hominy Creek. It's been 6 or 7 years ago. This time of year was ice, broke ice, had to break ice with a boat to get up to this spot by myself, and I caught it. It was a 224, so it was a 2¼ pound crappie. That was the biggest one I've ever caught. Bass wise, I've caught some big fish in Lake Fork. 9, a little over 9 pounds is my biggest. Those two are really, memorable. Deer wise, I killed a big deer a few years back over on my papaw's place. That was the biggest deer I've ever killed in my life, and so that was neat to kill it on family land. Really memorable story and experience there.
And now with your son and stuff, are you able to teach him how to hunt or anything
Sure.
like that?
Yep, when we have time. He's been on the boat since he was a little. I mean, he's for 2 years now. So yeah, when he was 8, I would back that 21-foot boat in the water, and he's driving, and he'll take it and pull it around and bring it back to me, and I'll go park the truck and stuff. And it's kind of funny seeing him sit barely, looking over the steering wheel, and everybody's looking like, you're letting this little kid drive your boat. I'm like, yeah, he's been on a boat probably as much as you have. But yeah, we get so busy with life and sports. He'll play baseball spring through fall, and then football, and he was playing basketball until this year, and now he's wanting to show cattle. So we've taken away one thing and added another, so we really haven't saved any time. But yeah, we like to go. It's relaxing. We like to go hunting and fishing when we can. And my little girl, she loves it. She loves to go as well. So we all try to go as a family when we have time and enjoy the outdoors.
That's good. And now one question I forgot to ask you, what degree did you get from Oklahoma State University?
I got my bachelor's in geography with a wildlife emphasis. I wanted to be a game warden. A couple years into it, I kind of talked to some guys about their career as a game warden, and I really didn't want to. I thought I wanted to go that route because I like the outdoors. I like to hunt and fish, and I thought, man, what better way to enjoy my life than to be in law enforcement with my hobbies. Well, I've got a couple buddies that are actually wardens, and they're like, man, you don't get to hunt. I thought I was going to get to hunt fish all the time, things are going to be great. And like, actually, you're the busiest. When it's good fishing and good hunting times, that's your busiest time to work. You gotta, I'm like, oh, man, all right, well, I'm going to change paths. Well, not many things would transfer from wildlife into another profession, if you will. So, and I like geography. I liked all, different things about geography of the world and terrain and different things, but I kind of sparked my interest, and so I went that direction. So that would transfer over into something that I liked, and then I was gonna take my wildlife deal and kind of go be a wildlife tech at a fishery hatchery somewhere or somewhere like that. Then I ended up seeing that the pay wasn't really what I expected it to be, and so I just went a different route. Yeah, if I could go back, I would have went to a tech school. Tech school degrees, really, in my opinion, I'm gonna push my son to go to tech school. Go for a couple of years and get you a degree, and you really make as much money or more than a 4-year bachelor's, unless you're specific in your degree. If you're a lawyer or a nurse or doctor or whatever, something specific. Anyway, I got off track.
And now you had Miss Robinson in class while you're at Stigler, and I think she's pretty much the only teacher still there that when you were there. what did she do for you then, and you probably still see her today?
Miss Robinson, man, she's the sweetest thing in the world. I don't know that I've ever met a sweeter person. She's always, every time she sees me, she comes give me a hug, and she's like about this tall, you know. So I lean down and give her a hug. She was almost like a mom to everybody. I mean, she cared about you. She wanted you to learn. She was really, she was interested in your success, but she loved you too. She made it more than a job, and that's probably why she's still here. You know, and I'm sure the kids today still think the same about her. She's a great person.
Yes, sir. I had her in school in 2016, and she was great then.
You bet.
Yes, sir.
Yep, she's good people.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I think I got what I need.
You got what you need?
Yes,
All right. Well,
sir.
thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
And we'll